What's up, YouTube? I wanted to do just a video for today. Maybe I'll do another one later on today, but when I see this video of a random guy that he survived the Lahaina fire, and of course many people did survive, but this guy, he posted a video of it, and kind of a lengthy video, and it turns out he happens to be a Christian too. At least, he posted a Bible verse at the end of the video. And so if you haven't seen the video, I will leave a link to it in the description of this video for anyone who does check out this channel. But in the video, I think one of the things that you can draw from in basing it on some of the biblical views of the end times and, some of the signs of the times is that before the Lahaina fire, there were little signs that you could watch showing that something was going to happen. Now, I will say that some of the signs, could have sort of dissipated where there wasn't necessarily a major event afterwards. For example, in the beginning of the video, he showed that there was a little bit of a cyclone type of, not a full-on cyclone, but like a spiral, high wind area out in the ocean. And so he was just showing how, in the beginning of their day, there was basically this sign of a cyclone sort of happening off the coast of Maui. And then after you watch more of the video, he shows how there is, very high winds in the area, and there was some smoke, but it wasn't really a lot of smoke. And so one of the point that I was going to make right now is that some of these signs, you couldn't tell that there was a disaster up ahead. But then the signs sort of showed how eventually the signs kept ramping up of, wow, there is sort of some looming disaster ahead, and maybe I should sort of seek some sort of shelter or solution in regards to this, kind of atmosphere of kind of like a more dangerous situation. And of course, we know that's Jesus Christ in this little analogy that I'm trying to give here. But, maybe I can tie that in a little bit later. I kind of wanted to explain a little bit more on this video. And so, there comes a time where he posts on his video, like, I have to start making a decision here. And, he realized that, he was trying to drive and there was so much traffic in the area and he couldn't really get out. And then it became really smoky. And, there's a police presence a little bit too. And so you see, wow, there's something definitely going on. Now, I think what is sometimes a little bit hard to discern are these signs showing, that there is something immediately about to happen where I need to sort of, in this case of the video, he needs to park his car and leave and try to find shelter elsewhere outside of this city? Or, do I continue doing what I'm doing? Do I continue driving and trying to maybe find a route out of this city? And so obviously you can draw some analogies from what I just said in that, sometimes I think as people, we are in sin, or we're doing something that, we know is not right, but yet we can see some signs And at some point, the signs may shift in our life saying, okay, I need to somehow make a decision here, and I have some potentially life-threatening situations up ahead, and I need to make a decision on what I'm going to do. What is my plan of action? And so this guy, I think he really waits until the signs actually become really, really strong, where it was more clear, like, some of the decisions that he was potentially having to make, like leaving his car, parking his car somewhere and, heading off on foot. I think, we shouldn't necessarily wait until the signs get really heavy, but at the same time, for this particular issue, analyzing this video, he sort of saw that the smoke was really heavy, and he saw that, wow, it's seemingly getting worse. And so I think that's one of the things that we can draw from when looking at some of the signs of the times and, trying to conclude something about Jesus's return. The great thing that we know is that, of course, Jesus is returning. That's not something that we are coming from in a debate type of thing, even though some people are sort of in that stage. For me, I'm not necessarily in that stage of questioning whether Jesus is coming back or not. Some people are sort of in that stage of, hey, do I believe or do I not believe? But I think, some of the signs of the times can show more and more conclusions of how close Jesus is. Even though we cannot know the day or the hour, we can still look at some of the signs of the times and, see, wow, it seems to be getting more and more potentially dangerous in a way. Is one way you can literally look at it. But also there are more and more signs that Jesus specifically spoke about in Matthew 24 about wars and rumors of wars, lawlessness abounding, earthquakes in various places, disease, which he called pestilence. And so I think, at some point, I think this video is very interesting, even though it is sort of a tragic video as well. It's not necessarily a, kind of fun video to watch in the sense of the word fun, but it's great to see how this man escaped when knowing that some of the people that were in the city did not escape. And actually some people died in their car, and so it's like, sometimes I don't think we always realize the weight of the situations that we can be in. But thankfully, God, helps us, and, thankfully, God, comes to rescue us. And so, if this man stayed in his car, could it have been, a bad situation? And I think, some practical things that I can say as ending this video is, is there a certain sin in your life that you are sort of dragging along with you, but yet you may have that realization of, I think I can overcome this, but maybe I'm just not making the right decisions, to do so. Whether that be starting off with prayer, even though maybe you're skipping to pray about it, maybe you've given up on prayer and somehow, you have a time to pray before you go to sleep, but you decide to just go ahead and go to sleep. And, that's maybe become an everyday occurrence to you. Maybe you have a moment to read your Bible, but yet, you're looking at the signs of the times and you're like, oh, I'll read it next week. And I think one of the things that Jesus told us in the parable of the 5 wise virgins and the 5 foolish virgins is that the foolish virgins, they waited until the signs were, really up upon them, where Jesus is literally returning. And so then they're like, okay, let's get ready. But I think one of the things that this video that, you can again check out, hopefully I remember to link it in the description of this video, is that, there are signs that are supposed to at least strike us with a realization that, some decision needs to be made for Jesus. Some decision needs to be made towards different decisions that we are making in our life. And I love how this guy, realizes, hey, there's something that I need to give up. I need to park my car, I realize that, hey, I want this car, I don't want destruction to come to this car, but he realizes, my life is in danger and I can get another car. So I'm going to park this car and, try to seek shelter. And that's what this man does. And so I think sometimes we have to realize that, there are things that we do need to give up, even though they do have an attachment in our life, but we have to realize, hey, this thing is dragging me to hell. This thing is pulling me down and it's destroying my life, even though you have an affinity to it. This was one of the decisions, I think Jesus really taught me about alcohol. It was like, hey, I know this is something that I want to do. I want to enjoy life and have fun. But at the same time, I realized I can do this in heaven, and I can wait for some of these things in heaven. And, I'm not going to, continue to do something in this sinful environment that is not helpful. And so anyway, thanks so much for checking out this video. I do think that, as far as believing in the rapture, I take more of the standpoint of how we need to be counted worthy to escape all that will happen. And I believe it has a direct link to our character, our belief in Jesus, and, our walk in sanctification, free from sin. And I think those are really the practical steps that Jesus calls us to do. Now, I do want to sort of make a video from the standpoint of, surviving the tribulation if there wasn't a rapture or something, like, seeking a bomb shelter or things like that a person can do. Just because, I feel like sometimes when the people who reject the rapture, they never really talk about practical advice to survive the tribulation. And so, obviously, I may not know all the details. I think some of these things you sort of think about when you're in the situation, but I do believe in a rapture. And I think there are some basic steps that we can take in regards to being prepared for the rapture. If there is an escape from the tribulation, which I believe there is, then what does the Bible give us instruction on doing? And I believe the Bible speaks to, being a wise virgin versus being a foolish virgin. I think that there are things that we just need to give up, and if there is marijuana in heaven, let God decide that. But for now, we know, hey, it's not for us to do in this sinful body where we are drawn to temptation. If there is alcohol in heaven, we know at this point, if I drink it, I could be potentially leading myself into different sins. And some of these things do require a spiritual body that we will get later. And so I think some of these things we need to make the weighty decision of, I need to give this up now so I can make it in the rapture. And instead of just trying to hold on to some of these things that, even though they bring us pleasure now, it's not fully, acceptable to Jesus Christ. And so thanks so much and I will talk to you on the next one. See ya.